Hello, I'm Rojo, and I'm going to be doing TSM versus Cloud9 from week 8, in which TSM came out victorious and ended up tying Cloud9's record, putting Cloud9 at 2-4, I believe. 2-5, actually. 2-5 for the second half of the split. Really, I'm just interested in why Cloud9 have slumped, and what the differences are, see if I can identify anything. So, pen out, just draw a squiggly, draft. So, first of all, Olaf is permabanned against Glaber. Makes sense, perfectly fine. Type of champion that he pops off on. Cloud9 is nothing but success on that, so get rid of it. Not worth, not really worth the heartache, even if it's not necessarily an optimal jungle pick in several drafts. Like if Olaf was here, this wouldn't make sense. And then Braves banned away, Nidalee banned away, and then Xayah banned away. So Xayah is something that Xayah and Rakan have been something that TSM have been doing well on, along with the set. The Nidalee and the Graves are interesting. They're more carry-oriented junglers. I'm not entirely sure if Spica is that kind of player, or even necessarily has the option to be that kind of player on this team. So maybe even if that is his natural tendency, I don't know if that's the option that TSM want to give him. And then Kalista and Ezreal banned. It is. This is fine. Kalista's kind of petered off in popularity. Ezreal is still very, very popular, but now with the introduction of Ashe into the meta, and with the 2 AD and 5 movement speed buff on Caitlyn, probably indicating that it was perfectly fine as a pick before, but here it is, she is now much stronger than before. The meta doesn't really necessarily, it doesn't matter if you get rid of these, because they're always going to be good options for AD carries. First pick was Set. This is something that I am very confused about. Set and Volibear are very, very high priority. Just seems as though if you're gonna get one, you're gonna give the other, but it's such a strange situation why Set is so highly prioritized. I mean, it ends up being fine, but Set and Volibear are not the strongest. At least from what I can see, they're not the strongest junglers. There's no way they're the strongest junglers because they effectively turn useless after a certain point in the game. At the very least, Volibear provides. Volibear provides extra dive power that maybe Set doesn't, but. And then Ashe and Volibear were picked up. Ashe is very front to back oriented, but she does have pick potential with her ultimate. So she does provide utility, and she is a pretty decent carry threat later on in the game. She just doesn't have the same trough of power that Caitlyn has in the mid game, because she actually can provide something extra outside of just being an auto attacker. She really enjoys people walking into her, so she already has some benefit from the Set pickup initially. And then the Volibear, I mean, it just seems like match the Set pick, really. And then Caitlyn Morgana by TSM. This is something that was, I think, honestly, very strong duo lane since the start of the season, but it just wasn't as popular. I think because Senna was very strong, Aphelios was very strong. I mean, these were pre-nerfs for both of those champions. Varus was pre-nerf, and even even considering all those things, those are still viable champions. But it's very possible that the existence of Caitlyn um, pushes Aphelios out a little bit because she actually can bully him and push him out, gain a pretty decent advantage against Aphelios. And now that she has extra movement speed, she can actually bully even easier. The extra AD doesn't hurt either. Obviously, it's not super bent. The 2 AD isn't actually making massive differences as far as I can see. Maybe there's some math that shows that she can clear a wave slightly faster. But I mean, yes, it's 2 AD on top of every auto, so there's something there. But whatever. Morgana is something that also has been, I feel, slept on. She's very, very, very strong. There's so many occasions where you watch a draft and you're like, wow, Morgana would absolutely destroy this. And honestly, even in this case, it still destroys this. Volibear is no longer allowed to just run at someone because he'll just get black shielded. Um, the Ash arrow is going to be less effective as long as Treatz pays attention. Hint: there are a couple Ash arrows that hit targets that he could have ulted or could have black shielded, but to be fair, not the easiest thing to do, I guess. And they're not on land, so ping is kind of factored in. And then the last pick of the first half is Karma. Before we move on to the second half, Karma picked up. Karma is honestly a really strong first pick. I can understand TSM if this is the core that they want to go for, and then I can see them not picking up Karma because then she doesn't flex super well, and you're gonna be stuck. You're gonna be sticking Bjergsen or Broken Blade on Karma, which is not necessarily optimal, uh, given the makeup of TSM. So the way that you have to think about it is Karma is not necessarily like a carry threat in a professional game. She allows champions to survive longer, so she draws out fights. She does put out some damage, but she's not really going to be the one that you're like, oh man, we need to shut down Karma. I mean, even if you shut down Karma, it doesn't matter. She's still going to be Karma, but she's not the champion. And because of the way that she builds, generally, gonna have the Athene's and Ardent Sensor build, which would be massively beneficial for the Caitlyn, obviously. But in the solo lane, when she goes with Athene's Ardent, she actually gets that very, very early on. She'll be at 2 items before pretty much every champion in the game, unless they get massively fed. Which does mean that she's very effective at mid game. She is very difficult to kill herself. She makes other champions difficult to kill, but she's not necessarily a champion that I would attribute either Broken Blade or Bjergsen to go on. Bjergsen mostly because he seems to be in a position where he has to carry, and Broken Blade seems to favor more carry-oriented champions on his own anyway. Not to say that they couldn't play Karma, just not something that they necessarily wanted to do, even though Karma would have been really good with Caitlyn. So imagine this over here, and I mean, set not even picked up at all. I feel like this is even stronger. Lower volume, and oh god.
What I was gonna say. Then I actually don't agree. I do think if they went towards like a mid laner or something, and then these
Also importantly, because Karma does have the triple flex, you can imagine, but it's very unlikely. I honestly don't feel like it's a champion that Niski would want to play or Licorice would want to play. But that's more of a feeling than I don't have any empirical information on whether or not they would actually play that. LeBlanc banned away. It doesn't necessarily make sense given the composition that TSM have already gotten, but it makes sense when you look at the person who might be piloting the LeBlanc. Galio. That's actually fine, because I could imagine Cloud9 actually doing well with a Galio pick, because it protects Ash, potentially protects the Karma if he becomes a solo laner. allows for initiation with the Volibear. Um, and Niski is also proficient, highly proficient on the Galio, and allows them to uh, create priority in the mid lane that Blabber can play off of. The Silas Bandaway is. Hmm, I don't think Bjergsen or Broken Blade have played it. It's just seems really meh. Um, unless Cloud9 are looking for an ultimate on their last two picks that is super valuable, that if Silas is picked, it ends up becoming worse. Renekton is definitely not a champion I would ever attribute Cloud9 to taking, so that seems like a wasted ban. Okay. See, Silas is usually seen, I think it's seen as an answer to Kennen, because he can take Kennen's ultimate and he actually just becomes more effective because now he's Silas with Kennen ultimate. So he just becomes better Kennen. But it doesn't actually. Let me just pause for a second. It doesn't actually keep in line with what you look at when you see this, right? You see an Ashe who generally wants to be protected, and while Kennen does have protection, he's generally trying to flank and go in onto the enemy carries. So that means that Ashe is kind of left alone and probably will not be the carry threat. But then the question is, who is going to be the carry threat? So you have to imagine that this is going to be the big point for Cloud9. So obviously the play for TSM is to take a champion in these two that has very good matchup against the majority of available mid laners. And if you look, there's Corki, there's Seer, there is Zoe, which Syndra still available. So there's quite a few really strong champions, and I don't necessarily know that if there's any like, oh, this just beats out any impossible pick. The only champion I can think of maybe that has just good matchups in general across all of mid lane is Syndra, but she was nerfed recently, so her power is slightly diminished in terms of her, especially her level 1, but then her early levels in general. So there's really no way to stop the Iski carry. But then it's a question of, do you need to be worried about that? So Twisted Fate ends up being picked up. But they go with Aurelia. Aurelia is interesting because it's a good answer into Kennen. Because she can get on top of Kennen, and Kennen just is a sad panda when that happens. She's pretty good at bullying out the bullies. And then Twisted Fate. So here we see the full composition. That's not what he ends up picking. Actually, you know, I'll just I won't pause. I'll just let Cloud9 pick their champion. Here. Then let's let the composition put in place. All right, cool. So this the isolation. Let's look at the matchups. I think that Aurelia is probably favored. This is a toss-up. Doesn't really matter. Probably is Volibear favored. But it doesn't necessarily. The matchup between these two doesn't really matter. See, this is interesting. It's probably Azir favored, because he'll be able to outpush the Twisted Fate and actually make him kind of maybe lose CS. Depends on how Bjergsen plays it, but because of the way that Azir can just push out waves, it allows him to get some plates off. It allows him to get some, allows him to deny CS from the Twisted Fate if he ever leaves the lane, which he generally wants to. And especially when you look at Aurelia as a champion, you'd think, okay, he wants to help the top lane, right? And then the bottom lane, I think, is TSM favored. It's probably not super one-sided in either direction. It's probably fairly even, but I'm not entirely sure on how 2v2 dynamic works. I would imagine that Karma probably has a fun time into Morg because Morg's poke isn't as good as Karma's, and Ashe can also kind of deliver that poke. But Caitlyn should be able to be fine in the lane and eventually be stronger. So maybe in the early levels, Ashe Karma does do well, but then eventually the Caitlyn Morgana starts really popping off and being able to control the lane. Just like how at level 1 maybe Kennen is fine. Actually, maybe not even at level 1. So even if he has the range advantage, you can still get on top of him, and she's probably going to have Conqueror, which means that she's going to out-trade him almost certainly. So even from level 1, this isn't necessarily good for Kennen. Looking at the general strategy, this is going to want to be topside constantly. See, the issue is that sure, this is a win condition in that you want Caitlyn to be very strong, and you want her to get strong as early as possible because she does have a bit of she has like a spike in the early game in like laning, and then she has a trough, and then she's like she's incredibly strong later on in the game. But even with that, these aren't necessarily easy to get targets, or would require a lot of setup. And I was just talking about how the carry potential is really just on Niski more so than anything else, because Ashe isn't really going to be protected in this composition, and she's going to be used more for her utility than anything else. She's going to be like a backup, like a tertiary carry in this comp, whereas the Kennen and the Azir are going to be the big threats. And so you'd think that Bjergsen would want to make sure that this goes down. That's actually what pans out in the game. Obviously, I know what happens. Puts a lot of attention into Kennen, which is good because it prevents the Kennen from actually being useful. And when Kennen's coming into ult and he gets like a 5-man ult, but it does 200 damage, and then you just heal it back up, and then you just kill him. And now it's 4v5, and you've taken no damage as a whole. You can just win the fight, right? Because what needs to happen for Cloud9 to work is Kennen needs to get a good flank, and then which will then force TSM into I don't even know where this drawing is going. So TSM is here, Cloud9 is here. Kennen would need to flank them, forcing TSM to go forward, allowing Cloud9 to use the Azir and the Ashe as the DPS threats. Karma's usefulness seems pretty low. Volibear's usefulness seems very low. I mean, they're literally, I don't even know. At least Karma builds supporting items. Volibear doesn't do that, and he's just gonna be sad the whole game. I mean, it's the same kind of situation with Set. Set's usefulness isn't super great. Set's usefulness really is just as a way to prevent this from being very effective, because when he goes in, Set brings him back out, and in that same setup where we have the two teams, and you have the Kennen flanking behind, and Volibear jumping in, Set can jump out with the Volibear, and then because Volibear ulted, he actually has more health, which means that he's going to be doing more damage, or Set's going to be doing more damage with the Showstopper. And then if Kennen isn't super strong, then it doesn't matter whether this flank works, because he won't do damage, and then the TSM team can just move forward. So this is why this should be going upward top side. So that's gonna be something that you'd want to see, especially coming out after minute 6, which by that point Bjergsen will be level 6, and Azir is not really apt to follow it unless his ability to follow is not super great. He has to anticipate it, and then he has to be moving before the play even happens. If he wants to be actually there when the play happens. The best thing he can do is clean up any bad situations or prevent any worse situations with Azir. I mean, really, all Cloud9 want to do is make sure that their lanes are stable, get to the mid game decently well, and then go out from there. So they need to prevent the Twisted Fate from actually being effective. This is going to bully Kennen, but Kennen should be okay being down, 10 or 20 CS, because he's not really going to die to just these two, but he will die to with the Fate. And let's get to the game.
TSM has an incredible amount of CC. There's lots of setup for the Caitlyn traps. Gold card.
Oh god.
Even Aurelia stun or the set clap. If you can land the stun there, potentially can trap out of that. I will say, even if it is
okay, 5-point start on both sides. Actually, Kennen and Volibear are sitting on over here, on here and over here on this bush. So they're actually defensive. They're actually more defensive than I'm sure. It doesn't. I guess it doesn't really matter. They're not looking for any aggressive vision, but this really just prevents Cloud9 or TSM from walking in without being known. It's probably safe. It's probably slightly safer than sitting in the tri-brush. And they can use their sweeper. Give experience to Niski, which means Niski is going to hit level 2 first on the first wave, which is actually really, really important. An advantage that Twisted Fate will not have. Okay. Leashless start on both junglers. They're actually doing the exact same camps on the opposite sides. How is and look at the health values. It looks like Aurelia is kind of just sitting in a bush. Okay. And on this level 2. So now Bjergsen is in a very unfun position because he needs to kill a minion and he needs to take a bunch of damage, and he still couldn't kill a minion. And I don't understand how he's not level. Oh wait, because this is still the first wave. These minions were still the first wave. Whoops. Okay. So I'm not sure why Bjergsen. That was really bad. So here, I don't actually know. What's the alternative? Just getting pushed in, because I mean, he knows he's going to take a bunch of damage, right? He absolutely knows. He's sitting he's on the pick a card and he's walking this way. And Niski only needs to set up a soldier to prevent him from just walking up, and he takes a whole bunch of damage. He does have Corrupting Potion, which he's probably going to have to use. Niski actually doesn't have Corrupting Potion. I actually don't even think it's actually that useful because it doesn't proc on his soldiers, I think. So I don't know why I would even question that. But now he's just chunked super hard. He can't actually. He's gonna. Maybe with Correcting Potion it's not that bad because he actually has 3 charges over against 2. That's not terrible.
Yep, and he is going Comet. You can see Vulcan is going Comet as well. They're highly towards the laning phase.
And now he's in a really not good spot anyway. Because now he's basically in the exact same spot as he would have been, just with less health.
They're going to look to pressure one of the things that's also very nice about the lethal tempo Ashe is that
It's
you
probably
can
better
already
than
clock the lethal
getting
tempo, and then you can
immediately
use all
pushed
that bonus
under
attack
tower.
speed to
So maybe
actually
there's that.
constantly shove in that wave even more heavily. And you can see as a result, Double Lift already missed
Okay.
3 minions.
Yep.
You know, when you are getting pushed
The
in
poke
non-stop by
on
this
this
combo,
is
by
pretty
this
good
Ashe,
in the
it can
early
be
levels,
difficult. Some of these minions aren't
but
always going to
they're
come
not going to
through
get
for it,
locked out.
you know, at
Okay,
the
well,
right
Treatz
amount of
just doesn't hit a
volume.
binding.
And you can see them trading back and
I
forth.
feel like the binding doesn't even need to go out because it doesn't matter. It's just extra damage, and he doesn't have the Frostbang or Spell Thieves. He doesn't have Spell Thieves. Okay. Bergson actually killed a caster, or not a caster, a melee minion with his dematerializer. Dematerializer. Okay. Blabber did a full clear except for Krugs, so he went red, Raptors, Wolves, Romp, Blue, Scuttle, and actually the exact same scenario for Spica. Very important. Broken Blade did a cheater, and he his pathing is actually really good because he actually has a control ward that he can put down that they do not know about, that Cloud9 doesn't necessarily know about. Not super big, but it's just a cute little thing that he did. Also, because of this, he's now going to have the Dorans over Kennen, as well as the Corrupting Potion. So he's going to actually have a really good advantage and be able to really outtrade the Kennen. I'm actually not sure if he hard traded earlier. Look at that. Not really. He only used one tick of the potion to push the wave in. And what wave is this? This is fourth wave. No, this is third wave. Pushing in third wave.
And I do think Spell Thieves would have been fairly viable in this game, especially with how C9's playing the lane out. Yep. They're still going for the
this is the fourth wave on the mid lane, but it's mid lane, so it's different.
It's a good point because specifically
fourth wave is now crashing into each other.
You don't have the mana regen. You are actually going to
you're
not going to be able to press Q.
The recall really lets Broken Blade
especially when he's using
really hurt the Kennen. Okay, can we just all right?
Speed up, shield himself to try to dodge a binding, and then you can go in for some of those Spell Thieves would give you a lot more mana regen to be able to
and then I mean the junglers have literally just done the exact same thing to each other. There's been no big differences, except Blabber actually does get the extra Krugs. He's not gonna go for this because Morgana prevents dies fairly well. Plus, it's fairly early on, and this wave isn't going anywhere. And it doesn't look like Sven and Vulcan were even intending on doing that. So there was no intention to dive.
Haven't quite got Double Lift or Treatz low enough to signal a dive.
And ultimately, Spica just ends up skipping his Krugs. He takes top Scuttle, and then pretty standard stuff, right? You recall by 4 minutes.
I don't know what Treatz was doing there.
Camps come back up. For now,
whatever.
Spica head towards the top side in case there's a play. Licorice has to be respectful of the fact.
Okay. So Licorice is actually trying to get the ward because he actually put down a ward because he's now in a really bad spot. So Blabber has to come up top lane to escort Kennen into the tower. And this wave is just, I mean, it's just ruined for Kennen. He actually can't play the game, and I don't know why he walks up there. That was just really bad. So this is a really interesting spot, because Blabber actually doesn't do what I just said. He really needs to be there, but Blabber the intention isn't even there. Blabber straight just walks to his Raptors. While Niski's like, hey, Twisted Fate is missing, he's right here. He could have walked up. So it was just a really bad spot for Kennen just in general. There was just nothing that they could do. And there's no reason why Blabber can't just walk and escort Kennen, get this wave in, and go walk back to his Krugs and his Raptors. It's inefficient for Blabber's clear, but he's Volibear, it doesn't matter. He's not important enough to this game where his clear is more important than Licorice being able to safely recall and at least teleport. I mean, optimally, Licorice doesn't want to teleport, but he also doesn't want to flash. and teleport. So, but yeah, not that one. All right.
Stay in fog, I believe he got seen, and out
wave
goes the cannon.
sucks. So this
And
is
as Zale was mentioning, I mean the wave is awful. It's just it's going to 100% push in, and it needs help going all the way. Otherwise, it's gonna freeze. Which is why the recall by Broken Blade and getting the statistical advantage as well as the wave advantage here is super valuable. Yeah, I mean Broken Blade can set up this wave however he wants. This is what is this? 5 caster minions and a cannon minion. I mean this wave could be perma-frozen right here. Probably not right there, actually. Right here. Which basically means Kennen can't play the game, which is really bad, and should have been recognized by both Kennen, which means he should have, and Blabber, but Kennen Licorice should have called Blabber to escort the wave in. But
and this wave is horrible, so that's why he's kind of.
I mean, what can he even do? It's kind of ruined, right? Can he even? Does he just recall at this point? Does he just say, "Oh, well, you got I can't even kill the ward. All right, I'm just gonna recall." Like, is that what he does? Because that's the state of the map. And if he recalls, it doesn't even matter. She just uncontestedly can set the wave up. So he has to do something to. I think it's just doomed. Actually, I don't think there's actually anything that Licorice can do at this point that will save the condition of this lane from this current position. Obviously, if it goes on further, he can save he might be able to salvage the lane, but in this current spot, there's nothing he can do on his own. And he knows that Spica's there. The flash probably was necessary, actually.
Either way, Licorice says, I don't want any part of this one, I'm out.
And Blabber, after doing his Raptors, he's going to be here. Alright, he's going to escort the wave in now.
Yeah, that was actually really tough. Licorice got put in a pretty bad spot. He was doing fairly well in farm, but because
he can't hold this wave.
It is going to be Broken Blade in the lead. Licorice, did not have the cover there from Blabber. Set could have been in that
but
area,
the wave is still going to be so it's really, this is very important. Where is the wave right now? Where is the incoming wave? It is at tier 2, right? By the time that Licorice can get this in, and I'll show it when we get to the point, the wave will actually be crashing, not crashing, but they'll be coming into contact with each other right there. Or at least on, maybe not, that's probably too far actually. It's probably closer to here in this spot, which is basically the exact same bad position. So it doesn't, I mean, Licorice is absolutely ruined by this play.
He comes back in because he needs to shove this wave out.
Yeah, that was actually really.
Like Broken Blade didn't have to do anything mechanically interesting or engaging. He just played his champion competently, managed the wave, and then now he's just in a hard winning position. And Blabber can't. They're not going to be able to dive.
And as a result, the wave got frozen. And Broken Blade's going to be sitting in a great
spot. And then
Bjergsen
Bjergsen even gets a flash. See, I mean, Licorice is sitting there. He can't come into the wave. This is very weird. Because it looks like, yeah, Niski literally just teleported in. But now he's chunked. He doesn't have a corrupting potion. He actually doesn't have any potion. He's taking a potion right now. Bjergsen has a corrupting potion. This trade is awful.
Had to play with respect to that, and as a result, the wave got frozen. And Broken Blade's going to be sitting in a great spot. Niski also forced to flash, so now Spica going to be liking his chances.
Okay. Blabber actually gets the wolves and he actually gets all of the wolves. but Spica was fine. I mean, it's not the best for Spica, but it's whatever. So you actually just watch what Kennen is doing. He's like sitting here, unable to play the game. He's like bouncing between the bush and the wave, like every so often throwing out a shuriken and hoping he can kill a minion because of the position of this wave. And Blabber sitting here like top diff, like he wasn't the one who caused this situation to happen. And then you actually see the pings for top side. I mean, Kennen is in such a bad spot. I don't even know if there's anything he can do. He could literally just recall and then be like, all right. He could sit way back here. He'd sit way back on his like first bush and just chill and be like, oh, I mean, Twisted Fate really wants to come up here. He can if he wants to.
Doran's shield on Caitlyn of all things. How
But very importantly, Twisted Fate is not level 6. So he actually recalled before 6. Now the wave on top side is actually pushing forward. This is an extremely aggressive TP for no reason. I don't know if that was a misclick. I feel like that probably was. He probably clicked on the map and he just hit this instead of tower, but it doesn't. I guess it doesn't matter. Maybe he's just establishing dominance. Who knows? Okay, Twisted Fate is finally 6. I feel like what was the reason he recalled? What was the logic there?
Q gets the root, and Doublelift is going to be hiding on the backhand side. Did have to go. Doran's Doublelift is across the map. Doublelift with the at least Wolf Camp was taken. Speak was able to get its Gromp on the way downwards, but because of top lane pressure, they at least denied Wolves way from him. Plus
He backed and set up a freeze. He set up a freeze with the minions that would keep it on his side. But if he kills these minions, he's level 6. And he can beeline it to the play that he wants to make. I would love to actually ask Bjergsen what his thinking was. Not because I think it's necessarily wrong. I just want to know what his logic is. Mostly out of curiosity and then the desire to learn. Because you can kill this wave. It's a cannon wave, so it'll crash here. Maybe I mean, he has to know that there's no way Niski's staying on that health value, right? So he knows that Niski's leaving. He doesn't see the recall, but he can basically conjecture that there's no way he's leaving. Or there's no way that he's staying. The wave is going to freeze here-ish. But if he kills it, he gets 6. Oh no, he needs this wave. He needs this wave. What am I talking about? Right? My math wrong? Oh my gosh. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I think he actually does need this. He needs this incoming wave. I'm dumb. This is actually smart because it lets the wave come in. Niski is gonna have to come in, lose. He's gonna lose CS, so he's actually gonna hit 6 later than Bjergsen. So never mind. It's a genius play. All right. I figured it out myself. Figured out why he did it.
On the way downwards, but because of top lane pressure, they at least denied Wolves away from him, plus made him lose the time. Recalls coming through now across the map. Double with the black shield.
Right here. This is really weird. I don't understand why he doesn't complete the recall. Just take the recall. Maybe he saw the state of the wave and thought, okay, it's not gonna actually be in our favor, and we're gonna lose minions on the.
Nicely played. Vulcan knocks it down with his Q. Gets the root and double lift.
Because now they're sitting here, stuck, right? And then double lift actually TPs. That's why he TP'd onto the minion. He wasn't being aggressive in establishing dominance. He was preventing them from recalling as fast as possible.
Oh, this is actually a really aggressive TP. So he's trying to force them to stay around because his jungler is behind, but either way, it will get actually pushed in the turret.
I mean, it wasn't for Spica's sake. It was to delay them and deny them. Because they're gonna hard push this wave. They should set up a pool. Never mind. Okay, it's fine. Treatz is literally just sitting there doing nothing. It's fine. Could have been slightly faster. It doesn't matter. But this actually allows the dragon to be taken. All right, I figured it out. Look at that. It takes a second, but I get there. I figure it out.
They did have the push and force out this recall and will have summoner advantage, but TSM going to be feeling pretty good overall. After that TP is used, they're pretty much.
They actually denied an entire wave off of that play. But then there's the question of, I mean, you're already gonna leave. Why not just leave, and then you're gonna be back in time? You don't necessarily lose a full wave. Which is why I question the lack of recall. Kennen isn't super far behind. He was in a bad spot for a bit, but I mean, I actually don't know what the wave looks like, what Kennen's wave looks like, but what are they doing?
Yep, one of the big
they're killing. He's killing a minion. Not a minion. Ward.
Have their flash, so we have to track. Can Speak actually make anything happen in this next couple minutes?
There's the cannon. Unfortunate. It's whatever.
But thus far, not much has come from it. But you can see them pushing.
Okay, this isn't really threatening.
About a third of his health knocked down there, but he still has 3 biscuits. He's not really in much.
Now, Double Lift can make a choice between coming to Rift Herald, make a play, or to stay and push. Blabber is here. All right, so this is a big deal, by the way. So Blabber's here. He escorts the wave, right? So he doesn't actually need to physically be in the lane because the wave is pushing naturally, because of the choices that Broken Blade made in terms of the recall, sitting on the stopping to get the ward, and then being here on this specific time. But here, Licorice decides to throw a shuriken and sit here and bother Broken Blade for some reason, which puts him in a really bad spot for Twisted Fate. And then Blabber's no longer here to affect this. When I watched this the first time, I thought this was a mistake by Blabber. But this case, it was actually a mistake by Licorice, because he greeted for damage on Broken Blade, I guess, or to make sure that the wave would crash. But it's like, there's no way that Broken Blade sits here, tanks 12 minions. It's not 12, but what is this? 9 minions, and I think 2 died already. He's not gonna tank these minions, sit here, freeze the wave. And then, if if Licorice just leaves and just expects the wave to crash just fine, which it will, based on where his minions are already. So the wave is coming, it's right here. So this wave is already in before the wave hits, so it's gonna crash. Comes back, and he makes the Rift Herald play instead of doing this, sitting here for a little bit. So if he goes to Rift Herald, and I think Blabber's actually even doing it right now. I think he actually pulls off of it when this play starts, because Blabber's thinking, all right, we're just gonna crash the wave. The wave is crashed. I'm gonna walk to Rift Herald, and he's gonna be with me in, you know, however much time, in 2 seconds. He's gonna be 2 seconds behind me. But instead, he does this. This is really, really just not good
And now there's no flash.
by
You are
Licorice.
in trouble.
And then, I mean, Blabber's sitting here just like, all right, cool.
Not gonna be in
I guess.
time. First blood topside, and Blabber has to run for his life. TSM get the first kill on the board. Bjergsen gets right up there. Broken blade gets the assist on that one.
So Spica has effectively done
Well done by TSM. They
nothing of value,
in that window to finish the
which is
flash
not a
with
dig on him.
Kennen.
He didn't need to.
Now, they are getting pushed in pretty hard on this bottom side. They have lost the turret play, are getting poked out. Here it is one more time. They escort in that wave, so they know that Volibear's probably in the area, but Bjergsen is here, and there's not.
I mean,
really
with
much of a
Destiny
chance
Gate, they know where Blabber is,
to
so they can make the play just fine.
whatsoever. Spica would have been there even if Blabber was there a little bit.
This is a
TSM,
little
though,
interesting.
starting up this Rift Herald.
They get it.
Left from that one. Ulti's gonna come across for the dunk. Spica gets the double stun though, and Bjergsen's there.
Broken
as
Blade
well.
walked
Look at the
past
damage
it instead of
output.
walking
Niski
over
trying to
it.
get away. The Volibear redunk though, and that should be 2
Because
kills.
I mean, if they're gonna go for
Broken
this
Blade can't get out.
unnecessary
This is the kind of
attempt,
C9 we used to see in the first
like you
half.
honestly
Split.
at some point you have to
The
just cut your
bonus
losses, right?
Double stun though, and Bjergsen's there as well. Oh, 400 health left from that one. Ulti's gonna come across for the dunk. Spica gets the double stun though, and Bjergsen's there as well. Look at the damage output. Niski trying to get away.
Yeah, I
The
mean, you just have
Volibear
to
redunk
cut your
though.
losses.
This Rift Herald.
Oh, 400 health left. That one, Ulti's gonna come across for the dunk. Spica gets the double stun though, and Bjergsen's there as well. Look at the damage output. Niski trying to get away. The Volibear redunk though, and that should be 2 kills picked up to C9. Bro.
Yeah, I think that they need to be, because Spica, I don't think Spica was trying to make a legitimate play on anyone. He was just, he gets smite on the Rift Herald, good. Ults, whoever away. And I think the play is, Broken Blade, please pick this up and leave. And Bjergsen just leave. That should be the play. Obviously, that's difficult to communicate in a moment-to-moment situation. I mean, literally just, there was a second maybe to communicate that. But, that's just,
Broken Blade can't get out.
that's whatever.
This is the kind of C9 we used to see.
Frankly,
in the
less
first
egregious
half
than
of
what
Split.
Licorice did.
The willingness
So.
to fight, the ability to
But
win.
now,
And TSM
potentially,
didn't pick up the eye,
Licorice
so they
can
got the Rift Herald,
be
but
fine.
They don't actually get the eye, so they really get nothing.
There's actually
out of
not
it.
super behind
So
at this point.
In the end, it is just the 2 kills for 0, a tiny bit of kill gold on the actual monster itself there, but C9 coming out very heavily ahead.
You actually see that Broken Blade TP'd, and then he's going to catch the wave and prevent it from crashing. Which means that Kennen again, by the way, without Maelstrom, is going to suffer. So that was actually, look at this, look how smart they all are. Broken Blade went in to die to try to get Niski, because that way it forces, oh wait, no, he already used Maelstrom. Never mind, they're out of it. Yeah.
Cloud9 right back in it.
I almost forgot that he used it when he was getting hit up by Twisted Fate. Okay, so Spica did do something good. As I mentioned, he got the smite. But now, I mean, look at this situation. But it's so sad. He even has red buff. He should feel very confident. This is, I mean, how much more confident could you be?
And you can see how far back Licorice is playing, right? He is queuing for last.
He even has he has Maelstrom, but I don't think he just knows he can't win that. And now this wave is perma-frozen. Kennen's gonna sit around. He doesn't actually enter this bush, so he doesn't get the ward.
First time this game receiving the buffs of 10.15. She was the same champion from before the patch.
Camp Spica is
he's feeling pretty comfortable
like
in mid-game.
4 camps behind
Licorice, because
Blabber.
he can't actually move forward to fully reset the wave, he's just been constantly stuck here. This is just like a permanently frozen wave.
And I mean, this is
where he's
just
bleeding out
permanently,
more and more farm.
it's just impossible to do anything with it.
Keep those 4 minions there,
We're gonna keep those
unfortunately
4
have
minions
4
forever, and
minions.
then
It will be essentially a
permanently
freeze
frozen.
until Cannon comes around, or he kind of like overlast hits and does break it. And there's not really much Licorice can do. I mean,
Licorice, I mean,
kinda
he's
walk over here and look for some
this
movement
is the
moving
issue.
forward, but it's not
And see, you have
for Cloud9, Niski has picked up 2 plates in the mid lane.
Azir, who can push in the wave.
Haven't seen if they've gotten a second one. Yeah, they have gotten 2
Better
kills
than
on the
Twisted
bottom
Fate.
lane, so it is that freeze for TSM up on the top side, but Licorice is still in range to get experience.
And I mean, there's no counterplay to what's about to happen, so the only thing that Bjergsen can do is just be back here. And you could argue that maybe he should be, but in fact, why is he so far forward? What is he?
The wave off his turret, because really what Broken Blade is doing is
Yeah.
Flash for the ulti backwards, easy stun. Bjergsen's flashless, no way out of that one, and Blabber finds himself a kill. The kinds of tower dives C9 fans are looking for. The game, though, still close, 500 apart. C9 only keeping their goal to float with these kills.
Great kill, though. They did know that Bjergsen had no flash because he actually flashed out after the Rift Herald fight. He did have a spellbook heal. I think they're trying to survive, but wasn't able to do it.
Volibear does still have his ultimate. Spica is here for the counter. Okay. We're good.
But Bjergsen will be up soon. Will have TP and ultimate, so it would be.
Spica also has pretty much the entire bottom side camps to do, and this is going to be free because they don't have a Bjergsen.
He is preparing for this fight, and even
Kennen also go back to base, as Azale is mentioning, and getting, he's going to TP if anything actually does happen. Thankfully, nothing did.
See if he can get back up there and collect some of the farm, but you know, if they can't force something cross map with Kennen and he's just stuck in this losing 1v1 for a really long time, it's just going to get worse and worse.
It is, and you can see right now the CS difference in nearly 40.
I still don't like. Look at the. I don't understand the priority on this champion that has effectively done nothing this entire game. He did something that any jungler could have done. Got the smite, which is completely jungler agnostic. It doesn't matter what champion he is, or champion agnostic.
Is really big carry performances, counterpicking the top lane, plays an aggressive fighter, and so far so good. 32 CSD at 13 minutes.
And then he just pushes the wave.
No TP can be awkward, but
he's just trying to deny Broken Blade is should be fine because this is a cannon wave. Like he misses cannon, but he's gonna get the majority of the wave anyway on recall, on returning to the wave.
That's actually why Licorice was backing off the tower, is that Bjergsen was missing from mid lane, and anytime that's happening, you have to give respect to the TF to be looking for that dive. It's such an easy setup. If TF comes in with the gold card, you land that. That's a guarantee.
He loses that whole wave.
King is going to be there, and
so I'm not. I mean, he gets the Bork, so now he's just. You're back to the same song and dance.
He's in a matchup that is winning very early, but is quickly turning into the situation where he can get all in, then he's going to have to be playing very carefully.
Farm pretty close to equal here in the mid
the
lane.
next objective is the Rift Herald. Okay. You have to know that Twisted Fate is coming here, by the way. Or can also TP. I'm not entirely sure. I guess it makes sense to use TP. He has an unsealed spellbook, so there's actually extra value in using his summoner spells over the Destiny Gate.
Niski actually made the roam very quickly, because if Niski didn't make that roam, I think TSM could have continued to play and probably got kills.
Doublelift is denying his stat or farm. That's fine.
It's not a bad attempt, but that was close to going really poorly for Cloud9. I mean, if they lose Blabber there, who has a bounty on his head, you're gonna
we're making another play here, but they know that Ashe is here, so this should not be a thing that they're going for. They should leave. Yep, they leave. Kennen is actually on bottom side, and this is actually really important because Destiny Gate is still up, right? So Licorice still needs to be wary of what's happening. They do not know where Bjergsen is. Doublelift is like super aggressive, and he has no flash. I mean, there's just nothing he can do. So now even getting the Rift Herald doesn't matter because Doublelift is going to be getting experience and
very easy setup.
Gold that a C9 member is not getting, or would have wanted to get in the exact same position. He's also getting plates. Oh no, he's not getting plates because the plates are gone. Always creeps up on me. It always creeps up.
couple weeks
This
ago,
happens at the exact same
we've
time every
really
game.
given them a
But
chance to call
I mean, he
out
tries to get it as
some
fast as
of
possible.
mine,
Caitlyn's
right?
tanking the
Got
tower
into
to
lots
finish
of
off
one.
this.
Then even once they start
And
winning
Spica
couple
is just
games,
around
things
to,
go well, even if Liquid
I
passes them,
guess,
which they're
ensure.
still
It doesn't
too.
really.
But if they lose this game, they are tied with TSM, and TSM has the ability to pass
Okay.
them.
And now looking at the play as Wisniewski
Treatz is here, so it prevents this from happening.
Long cooldowns. He's got Nash's tooth, so he's going to stay alive. But you can see
That was actually well scouted by Treatz.
Able to make a ton of farm on double lift, 172 at 16.5 minutes. Broken blade at 151.
I would imagine that Twisted Phase is going to walk down to the side lane where Caitlyn will walk to mid lane. Yep. And Treatz will return, get some wards. Probably two control wards.
At the end of the day, mid
Look at
lane
that.
had been cracked finally, bot lane cracked as well from the TSM side.
You know, one of the problems I'm kind of seeing here from Cloud9 is their only really good.
So Licorice is pretty far behind. He's not like super awful, but the problem is that he's stunted his build because he wants to get Proto Belt, but he has Seeker's Arm Guard instead. And Proto Belt is already like a bit of a weird stunting item,
so you're gonna be kind of just permanently losing
where it is good. It allows you to do extra things that you wouldn't be able to do normally, but I mean they can't go for this fight because Licorice has no actual items.
Because if they can take a second dragon, then they can force TSM to come to them on the
So TSM are forcing the issue with the by starting the dragon. Then you have the Caitlyn line, which is super fun. Licorice is here. They do not see Licorice. They just kill the dragon before anyone even does anything, and then Licorice chooses to go in anyway when they could have just said, alright, cool. They should have just been going for waves. Speaker gets really good ult. Double lift as well. Licorice dies. I mean, this isn't terrible for Cloud9 because they do get 2 kills. Because of the 2 champions that are kind of like in anchor. I mean, he red card saluted Ben. If he gets a yellow card, he's probably dead. But no, he has cleanse. He has to use cleanse. He didn't have to use cleanse there.
It does let him go away. We'll just say.
So this is the part where we gotta mention the fact that these two. Aurelia's done her job now. That's it. She's done her job. She has built an advantage against Kennen. Kennen feels really bad. Stunted the build. All great. Problem is now that you have 2 people who just run in and get blasted by Azir and Ashe. And kind of Karma. So it's a weird situation where you have champions who are capable of front to backing very effectively, and then champions that go in very aggressively. So you have a bit of incongruency in the way that you want to play fights, but it's not super bad. It's just not optimal.
Let him go.
What's the life between friends?
It's a double entendre.
Go back home and tell everyone else.
So I mean, TSM are only at 1k gold lead.
What happens if you go to the goal? You know.
But actually, what was the lead before? It was just like not a lead. Yeah, there just wasn't a lead. So they're actually pretty even. So maybe if Kennen gets a really nasty flank on this blast cone or something, or I don't know, someone gets behind all of them, maybe this becomes better. But I mean, the way that this is played is just I don't know what you could possibly ask, what more you could ask for. At this point, you just sit and wait and hope for Kennen to hit his a better item so you can actually effectively get in. Also, and I mean, he gets just immediately exhausted, by the way. So he's not even allowed to play the game. So his damage is even less. Look at how much he gets, like a tick off of on Treatz, and he does hit Caitlyn. Treatz, by the way, did not Black Shield Caitlyn for some reason. He eventually Black Shields Broken Blade, which works out fine, but it's a little weird. What else? Yeah, I think that if you're Cloud9, you have to be more patient. I think you have to be just willing. I think you have to be willing to be patient on this play, or not on this play, to make a play, because you have Azir and you have Ashe. Kennen's use as a win con is gone, and just use him for his utility in a fight. I think that's what you got to do.
Force a flash away and rooted up means nothing else. Into the back line goes Broken Blade, wants those kills, gets
Okay,
one.
Spica did a lot of damage with the showstopper.
And they're going to pick up a couple of kills still. Flash away, but still rooted in place. TSM wiping the floor with Cloud9. And Sven, you are next. We cut you for a reason, buddy, and it's because we can force red cards. He's going to walk away.
Oh no, Bjergsen actually had
I think red card actually does more damage than gold card.
They let him go. You know,
what's the life between friends?
It's a double entendre.
Go back home and tell everyone else.
So maybe his plan. All right, maybe he was thinking, all right, I do more damage. I'll hit my thing. He's gonna cleanse anyway. He'll just get out if I hit this. So I need to. Okay, so Blade Dance or whatever it's called. Blabber actually ulted backward, and then they get 4-man stunned, which is insane. And then this does nothing. Spica, it's a showstopper. Spica's done 2 good things that have nothing to do with the champion he's on, by the way. Could have been on anything else. So far, not entirely sure. Again, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, just wait. First pick, by the way.
With them having the dragon lead,
I don't know.
The side lane advantage, it's kind of like, all right, Cloud9, now you're really
There's value in the fact that you can flex it, but it's such a weird thing that gets picked when it clearly doesn't have very big purpose in the composition that you're planning.
Yeah, but even if you decide and it wasn't enough. Even if you do, if there's exhaust there and set dunks you out,
and doesn't have good general purpose across multiple compositions.
There are, so we'll see what C9 can do. I want to point
Okay,
out
so they're trying to control Baron Side River.
Right, Cloud9 have good laners, TSM have good laners. What Cloud9 was dominating with, the reason they were 9-0, the reason
Doublelift is actually massive, by the way. That's 4 kills.
From 10 to 20 was when they would just grow a 7,000 gold lead on you and take the game over. TSM have weathered that so far, still weathering this as Bjergsen's here, and here's Licorice's
Look at how much damage he didn't do. Wow. There was literally no damage. They're all gonna just they're gonna heal from redemption basically more than Kennen did. And because of the way that the champions work, so again, let's look at congruency. Let's look at congruency. So Kennen, he's gonna flank in, right? That's his job. Bear, he wants to dive in. Great. What does Karma do? Puts down a shield on someone? Maybe she puts down a shield on Blabber. Alright, cool. Maybe she puts a shield on Licorice before he goes in. Okay. It's kind of difficult to do that if Licorice is getting the flanks that he wants, but sure. Maybe he puts a shield on Blabber, maybe. And then what? What do these two do? Or Ashe is gonna dash in, and she's gonna. Oh, she doesn't have one of those. Okay, all right. Azir is gonna dash in. He's gonna come in, and oh no, he'll die. It's a really bad situation, and their compositions don't let them get out of it. Flash. That play right there is the play that should have happened before they got into this bad situation. Because, you know, Caitlyn with 1 kill is manageable. Caitlyn with 4 kills, Caitlyn who is at even level with the other laners is not as manageable.
Now, Doublelift is actually just going to TP to top lane and take this tower. And Doublelift is ridiculously fed. He is.
Oh, that was level 13. He's actually out leveling Broken Blade and Bjergsen, by the way.
On C9 right now. He already has IE Essence Reaver, so he went for
Bjergsen came in to help finish this off. All fine. Now they're just getting more and more advantages.
That is so rare to see. a marksman player be the highest level in the game. You know, Treatz has been kind of making sure he has a safe farm, that he's getting all that solo experience,
Okay.
and they're getting him to a ridiculously
Bjergsen
strong
with the
point. This is an
Medjais.
expensive build, but when you hit
He,
3
I
items
believe
as
he,
high Essence Reaver
one of
right
his
in
first
front of
items
you,
was
those
Dark Seal,
headshots
so
will hurt so much. And really on anyone except
good to
Blabber,
see.
that is going to be a very
Gets him
significant
free
portion of
stats
your health. You know, you get
because
2
he hasn't,
autos
or
on someone like
hasn't
Carl
died since he's
or
gotten
on
kills,
someone
I
like
guess.
Sven, and all of a sudden they can't fight anymore.
Well, they're going to have to try because TSM are going to keep the siege going. 650 range on the Caitlyn. Black shield when needed in case there's engaged tools. Goodbye to this turret. There's a hurricane and an execution.
That reminds me, in that play previously, the Black Shield was not used on Caitlyn again, who is who
already picked up. He's going to scale great onto this one. TSM going to feel comfortable in every single matchup they
look. I'm not saying Treatz
CSD in the top lane for
is bad.
There's really no stopping this TSM train.
Only that
There isn't.
it could have been marginally better.
Find some sort of way to actually push the pace because TSM is happy to just play side lanes, continue pushing 3 lanes, continue threatening. You can see it's Cloud9 that is going to have to.
So what's the play, right? You have to imagine they're going to the TSM are going to go get the dragon in
but it's problematic because
30 seconds, 20 seconds now.
Out to answer. Broken Blade has TP and Bjergsen can ult in on
Okay.
you. And
Licorice gets out with the cleanse, all fine. But this dragon is pretty free. Should be free at least. There is no setup at all from Cloud9. They shouldn't really contest this. But you already know. Cloud9 are a very scrappy team, so it makes sense. Same line here. I mean, it's literally the exact same position, except now Licorice is not trying to flank. His Broken Blade is on the flank, preventing that. Alright, and there it is again. Black Shield after the arrow hits, by the way. Interesting. Alright, even better Showstopper because of the Blabber ultimate. In fact, this is almost literally an exact duplicate of what just happened of the previous play. Literally, almost everything happened exactly the same. Almost literally everything was exactly the same. The difference was that Licorice didn't go for the flank because he knew that he wasn't going to be super effective. Plus, he knows that the exhaust is there too. So if he goes for the flank, he's going to get exhausted and he's just going to be useless. Plus, I also don't know if he has Zonios. He does have a stopwatch though. Okay. Blabber gets this. Doublelift gets hit with a... Sven hits a good arrow. Sven hits a good arrow on Doublelift right here. Blabber gets the smite, all fine. But now it's a front-to-front fight, right? They're all facing each other. There's no flanks. There's no, like, Flicker's going to come in this way while Cloud9 are moving in this way. It's all, they're just facing each other. So that's the only real difference, because what happens is, oh, also Blabber goes in instead of backwards. This actually is bad because it causes more damage to be dealt to his team because Blabber has more health and Showstopper does more health. It does more damage to other targets based on the health of the target that he slams. So now you have this weird position. Doublelift is still super safe because no one can actually get on top of him because Licorice is over here, too afraid to do anything. Blabber couldn't reach him with the thing, and then he got Showstoppered out. Okay, the Niski does the thing. You get a Blade Surge or Blade Dance, whatever it's called. Whatever. You get an Aurelia ultimate across a lot of the team. Now you have Niski over here, who's going to get ulted by the Caitlyn. Speaker, who's not dead yet, finishes off Blabber, who instead of being over here is now over here. I mean, it's just identical. Like the people who die in the exact same order, and the exact same thing happens where Bjergsen Destiny Gates over here to try to finish off Sven and Vulcan.
Good luck surviving this one.
Then Licorice just goes in. I mean, he doesn't do any damage.
That's easily going to be 3 kills picked up. And where is number 4?
Oh, he doesn't Destiny Gate. I'm sorry. He TPs.
This time he's got the gold card. Vulcan can
He
claim
gets
that he can run for
he
his
gets a
life,
gold
he
card,
will
but
stay
Vulcan
alive,
had
but it's
Mikhail's.
time to run to Bear, and TSM are taking
Super
over
clean
this
Mikhail's, but
game.
Absolutely destroying Cloud9 in these team fights.
a
Doublelift
3 for
with the full
0.
line. Cloud9 just struggling to get in, and with exhaust available, even if Licorice reaches the back line, it just doesn't seem to matter. He is behind, he is getting exhausted. They do not have enough damage to threaten this TSM backline. Caitlyn is just steadily autoing away, and I've got to give credit to Sven. He's finding great angles. Both these Dragon fights, he hit the ultimate double lift. You know, he finds this angle here in between Spica and Bjergsen to actually land the ulti here. This was really well played. Look at him move to the very top, just above.
There's no
Spica.
reason that this
Nails
shouldn't have been
the
black
boost.
shielded,
The
by the way.
shield wasn't there, probably because Treatz didn't
I
even
cannot,
realize he was
unless
at
it was
risk.
an elaborate bait. He's
Jumped
just been
in.
holding the black
He
shield
just
until they
gets
engage
back
on them,
left
and
by
then
Treatz
he black
staying
shields.
very far away at range, and
It's
you know,
it's
Licorice
actually
can't get the access. As
super
soon as
genius.
Licorice goes forward, he's immediately exhausted. They're
No,
always
what's probably
gonna
actually
stay
happening
for
is
him.
he's
And
not
Licorice just has
he's
no
not
play now. TSM are positioning
super
really
familiar
well,
with
and just
Morgana, maybe.
executing even better in these
Now that he
team
hasn't
fights.
played
This is
many
TSM
games, I'm
that
sure
can
he
threaten
put in
for
several
being the
hours,
best
several
team in
hundreds
the
of hours
league.
into
This is a
Morgana.
TSM
Just
that their fans have been waiting for
he's not
honestly the last
super
couple
comfortable on the champion.
years, that TSM fans were hoping they were going to get
Ma-
with the return of
I-
Doublelift. And
Yeah, I'm probably
here
gonna
they
find out
are
later that
in
this
the
is actually
end
his
of Summer
his
split,
old
you know,
main.
reaching this
He
really
just
high
he used
level
he was a
score.
one-trick Morgana,
Cloud9 are at least looking like they're in position to do it.
and I
Bjergsen
just
just
sound
had
like a
an
moron,
incredible
but it's
Zillion
fine.
game yesterday. I mean, if Bjergsen and Doublelift are playing, you know, at their peak
And
level,
he actually is a
this has to
genius
be
with these
hard.
black shields because he's
All I see in my
hard
mind
baiting
is that
Cloud9 because he's
Doublelift
like,
is
oh,
a
he doesn't have the
good
black shield on him,
player
he's stunned, oh, we got him, and then
hallway
he just
knocking on the doors and taking the heads. Not only are they playing Cloud9 today and beating them handily, they play TL next week. And by the way, once TSM wins this game, they're only 2 games behind Team Liquid, and one of those 2 games is against Team Liquid.
Okay.
Hey, if Immortals knocks down TL for him,
actually I want to see the Baron setup. So
Very top.
instead of
Not
it doesn't matter.
totally
What do the lanes look like right now? Okay. So all of TSM are recalling. All the waves are either neutral in the case of mid lane or in their favor. They're just going to be pushed backwards to them. Bottom lane actually might be pushing. Yeah, it's pushing up towards Cloud9. But top side is actually coming into them, so they can actually build a wave if they need to. That should be fairly simple. So Twisted Fate, top, move to mid, collapse onto tier 2, bottom, come back to tier 2 mid. Or am I just I feel like I'm overcomplicating the whole procedure. Because they could probably just do they could probably just do a 1-3-1. It's fine. It's fine.
Away, and I've got to give credit to Sven. He's finding great angles. Both these Dragon fights, he hit the ultimate double lift. You know, he finds this.
They should be just fine to do a 1-3-1. But what do they actually end up doing?
For being the best
End up
team in
doing
the league. You know,
1-1-3.
that their fans have been waiting for honestly
Yes.
the last couple years. That TSM
I wonder
fans
what
were hoping they
the
were going
thinking
to
is
get
behind that.
with the return of Doublelift, and here they are in the end of Summer Split. You know, reaching this really.
Oh, they're not doing that.
Form, taking down Cloud9, or at
What are
least
they
looking like
doing?
they're in position to do it. Bjergsen just had an incredible Zillion game yesterday.
They're just sitting in the
Bjergsen and Doublelift are
jungle?
playing, you know, at their peak level.
Yeah, they're not doing
This doesn't
anything?
beat anybody.
Azale, all
They're
I see in my mind is the
waiting
Doublelift
for
is the
Broken
Grim
Blade to
Reaper.
push the
Reaper
wave
walking down the
forward and then
hallway,
have
knocking
to
on the
go
doors and taking the
back
heads. Not
and
only
feed
are
the
they
wave to
playing
Kennen,
Cloud9 today
and
beating them
then they
handily,
can.
they
Oh,
play
okay, and then they.
TL next week. And by the way, once TSM wins this game, they're only 2 games behind Team Liquid. And
What is
one of the
this?
2 games is
What am I
against
watching?
Team Liquid. Hey, if Immortals knocks down TL for him next week, TSM can fight for first in the regular season, not just, of course, first in the playoffs, not just the first.
Okay, I can maybe it was
maybe a tiebreaker at C9, 'cause right
they
now
were
they're
holding
first
back
and second in the
to
standings. TSM,
wait
they just say,
for
no,
Cloud9's defensive positions and then play against it. Or maybe I'm just overcomplicating it and they didn't really think it through that much and it's not that complicated. Like, it's not that serious. But I mean, Broken Blade isn't allowed to actually do what he wants to because now the waves are completely uneven because they weren't pushing when he was pushing. So I don't know if that's on Broken Blade or if that's on the rest of TSM. Okay, and then they just kill Licorice here. That's unfortunate for Licorice. But then they give up Broken Blade. It's actually fine because they were just going for the tower, so they're just getting more and more gold. And I mean, Broken Blade actually isn't that much more important than Licorice here. In fact, I honestly think that Licorice is more important than Aurelia. Okay, but then he gets a Black Shield again, late. Can't be slowed though. Elaborate bait into Blabber just dying for no reason, by the way. He did not need to do that. And that is 300 AP onto Bjergsen. So that is a kill through. And again, C9 cannot find the reason I feel like Kennen is more useful than Aurelia is because while Aurelia does probably more damage, the utility that Kennen brings along with the Zir Ashe probably gives more than what Aurelia does. Aurelia gives space by being in their faces. Kennen gives prevents them from being in their face because he can play defensively around his carries.
But there's not anything afterwards to finish him off, and does end up going down. Doublelift picks up an entire Lord Dominix off of that.
This is the third dragon for either team.
Well, it's about to get
cannot imagine that Cloud9 feel like they can actually contest this. They cannot.
I think this would be, well and truly game over.
I mean, look,
Cloud9 if they are not able to contest it.
They've done about the same amount of damage. And you're seeing every time Kennen tries to do anything, he's doing no damage. So that's interesting.
But yes, I mean, you can clearly see they are like, yeah, let's just clear some waves. TSM, you have shown us time and again.
Okay, so they're actually doing the right thing, where they're not just like dancing around here for no reason, watching the team get the dragon. They're going to waves and collecting experience and gold.
7,000 gold lead. In 5 minutes, the front line becomes invincible. Azale, that Ocean Soul, I think, does completely signal game over if it comes through in 5 minutes. As it stands, TSM are walking over this one.
Clearly, my brain was not working there.
That's okay.
Completely that they had gotten it. So obviously, a pretty critical smite on the previous fight. The Blabber was able to get it. Azir is scaling. That is something working for them. Maybe going towards a Void Staff here. He does already have 2 items.
I mean, there's no play to be had here. They're just going to be, they should just be bouncing waves back and forth. Well, not, should be. Probably not actually should be doing that. But they're going to just be bouncing waves back and forth for the next few minutes. But Twist of Fate is super strong. Is really good. Yep, it's not even necessary. Actually, it's not even necessary, never mind. Doublelift is super strong. He's level 16, by the way. He's the first level 16 in the game.
I don't know if they're going to continue going for it. I don't think they will now that I see
they grab Inhibitor,
I thought they could try to threaten on multiple angles.
Which
they'll move towards the Baron.
Will respawn by the time the dragon comes up, so it's not super relevant, but it will allow them to control the vision around the bottom side. And they actually dot up the entire red side. I mean, this is just, yeah, there's nothing they can do. What can Niski even do there? I guess he can just take, hold on. He can...
World in which C9 can win.
Yeah, I don't know what he can do. Nothing.
Danger.
You are dead.
Danger, Niski. Dunk into the
yeah, he can't do anything.
Goodbye. TF not needed. How about a 980 damage critical strike to the head? As
he can just hope the wave can be brought to him.
It can end. Time, Inhibitor to die.
Wait.
C9 can win.
Yeah,
pushing if they want to try to risk it. I don't know if they're going to continue going for it. I don't think they will now that I see Broken Blade not even threatening on the bottom side. I thought they could try to threaten on multiple angles. Instead, they'll just take the much safer play. They'll move towards the Baron.
Okay.
Broken Blade
Right
up
there,
towards the mid lane,
that
so they
was
can push
maybe
through,
set
press
exclusive.
the TP
Maybe
from
only
the
set can
jungle,
do that
and
play.
actually just get
So
vision
there's the value of
as
set.
they wait
There it
for
is.
that Baron to spawn.
29 minutes into the game.
There's no contest, absolutely. Niski's still not up for 12 more seconds and does not have teleport, so even if he does spawn in time, there's no way for them to really challenge here. The goal is expanding and expanding even further.
Well, goodbye to the Baron. Picked up yet again.
Okay, so they get another Baron. Feels like they just had it, and now they get it again. Oh my goodness. An 1830 crit.
There's bonus damages on top, but yeah, that is a lot of damage there. Negative armor on red buff. It's it's inflated numbers to be clear. QSS comes through for double lift. He chugs the red elixir. He's ready to go.
Oh, it feels good to have those big numbers.
In case that arrow does land, Double's gonna get away from that one. If the black shield's light, he can still cleanse that one out. More items coming through. Black
So, Doublelift has lost all faith in his support, by the way, as he builds a QSS.
Really hard to consistently land those arrows onto a Caitlyn who has long range and who has
I mean, that's to be fair. I mean,
he's been finding the angles.
there's a decent, not really. There's a decent amount of
and they're still losing the fight. So
CC.
now
It's not worth buying the QSS if you have a Morgana. I don't think.
it's not a lot
You actually
of
just
good
weaken
options
yourself.
for him
You're
there.
spending a lot of
Unless they can
paying
get
the
themselves
QSS
a
tax
QSS
for no reason.
else, which
Um,
basically seems like pretty much a 0% chance because there's nothing else he really.
But I mean,
wants
he's already
to
so
do.
strong. Maybe it doesn't even
It's
matter.
pretty much not an option anymore.
All I know is that he doesn't feel like he has a. I know for a fact he's sitting there just like, can I please get a black shield before I get hit with something?
He's just gonna kill you. So I guess it sucks to be Cloud9 right now because they're about to drop to 11-5. Their first 0-2 week of the year is about to be.
Because like he doesn't bring cleanse because he knows he has a Morgana, but then TP flank. This is actually the best fight that Cloud9 gets because they immediately kill Doublelift. Problem is that there's the rest of the team now. They used everything to get him, and they were already so hard committed that by the time that they had already killed Uplift. I don't know. Wait, how is Niski so far? What did he do? Why is he so weak? What happened to him? Oh my god, that was it was a oh, that was one shot from Caitlyn, from the net and passive. Okay, Speaker's just in there. He's doing a bit. Okay, Doublelift is a big part of the DPS, but then the rest of the team, I mean, he just chunked Niski to oblivion. If Niski doesn't hit with that net into that headshot, maybe he can clean it up on his own after killing Doublelift. So maybe that was the big difference, but I mean, they were just going for a play. Like it's so weird to do this, right? Because I don't think they have the responsibility. By the way, he black shielded him. Wait, hold on. I just want to know. It would if it landed. If he didn't dodge it, he actually would have been black shielded. I'll give him credit for it. They have Baron, which gives them extra stats. So I'm not sure what the logic is like. Okay, we'll fight them with Baron instead of taking the dragon fight, which is in a minute. In fact, hold on. I can't see the timer.
Pretty much not an option anymore.
Baron timer is 10 seconds off of the dragon timer. They could have waited for the dragon to spawn and then fought to stop soul point. What is the logic here? Are they thinking that this is the absolute best flank they are ever going to get, so they're just like, just go? They don't even get... I feel like you have to call it off after... Unless he teleported immediately as soon as he threw the arrow. Yeah, he did.
Is about to be in front of them. They're looking for the try again. This time, it will miss as an arrow, but here comes the TP flank. This is the attempt. Can it happen for Cloud9? Damage comes through, and Doublelift has
It was a pretty good attempt, but I feel like they honestly could have done the fight at the Dragon. Because they have very strong duo late game carries. Whereas TSM really just have Caitlyn for the end game.
They have finally peaked at the right time. Cloud9 will fall. TSM will be the one to do it, and they will take that Nexus.
But maybe that was just the best. Maybe they just felt like that was best case scenario, and they weren't really gonna see anything else. I think it's just patience. It's not even a meta. Cause I'm pretty sure there was some comment in an interview or something. I don't know where I saw it, but where Cloud9, some member of Cloud9, I think it was Niski, talked about a read on the meta, and I don't think it's a read on the meta. I think it's just lack of patience in this specific game. Maybe when I look at more closely at the Golden Guardians game from this weekend as well, I'll see something different. But it just looks like it's a lack of patience. Like a willingness to fight is fine. You also have to be willing to take a good fight. And I mean, when they're reinforced that they just win literally every fight for 1.5 splits, I can see why they have the scrappiness and the just go for it mentality, but ends up costing them this game because I honestly think that they could have won. I genuinely think that they might have been able to win on that soul fight, even if it wasn't gonna be. I mean, the gold value was gonna be awful for them, but maybe it was a case of just it's not gonna get better, even though they have Baron. I still, it's. I don't think it's as cut and dry as I'm making it seem, or that it might not even necessarily matter. I think they might lose regardless. They have a much better chance at the fight, at the Dragon fight though, because TSM wouldn't have had the Baron. TSM doesn't have Baron at the Dragon fight, and they might have been able to set up better, but hard. It's difficult. I'm in Rojo. Let me. All right.